Welcome, curious minds, to the Deep Dives.
Great to be here.
Today, we're embarking on a mission, really, to cut through some of the noise and get straight to the essential insights from a stack of source material focused on artificial intelligence auditing and governance. You share some really interesting questions and explanations from an AI audit practice guide, and our mission is to unpack them one by one, giving you, the listener, a crystal clear understanding of what's most important.
Indeed. And this deep dive, it'll systematically explore critical concepts in AI models, data management, risk, ethics, and, operational oversight. We'll break down each question, focusing on the foundational reasoning behind the most important answers. Our goal is for you to walk away not just informed, but truly understanding the why behind these crucial aspects of AI and enterprise.
Absolutely. Think of it as a guided tour through the most insightful nuggets of knowledge in this, let's face it, complex field. We'll be going through these questions and their core principles step by step. So let's unpack this first set of insights, delving into how AI models are considered and what's required for their effective use. Okay, let's kick off with understanding the primary goal of integrating an artificial intelligence model with a software system. What's the main driver there?
Right. So the main goal of integrating an AI model with a software system, it's fundamentally about facilitating better user interaction and application. That's really the core of it.
Okay.
While model development focuses on learning capabilities and data security as a separate crucial concern, integration transforms the model from, a theoretical construct into a practical, accessible tool, a tool that end users can interact with seamlessly. It's all about making the AI useful in the real world.
That makes a lot of sense. So moving to the broader organizational picture then, what's the biggest advantage of bringing an AI framework into an enterprise?
The framework. Well, the paramount advantage, I'd say, lies in ensuring that AI initiatives align strategically with the organization's overarching goals and values.
Strategic alignment.
Exactly. Provides structured guidance, it adapts to specific needs and best practices, making AI a cohesive part of the business strategy. Without this framework, AI projects, well, they might not deliver true business value, even if they're technically sound.
Now, something really interesting. What's the primary risk, the main risk with using deep learning models in business-critical applications?
Yeah, this is a big one. A critical challenge with deep learning models, often called black boxes, right?
Right.
It's their inability to explain their decision-making process. In critical applications, think finance or healthcare, this lack of transparency poses a significant risk. Understanding why a decision was made is just paramount for accountability and trust, much more so, really, than cost or data preprocessing challenges.
Okay, and given how fast data changes, what's the best way to deal with outdated data in AI model training? That seems like a constant battle.
It really is. To mitigate the effects of outdated data, the best approach is integrating new information retrieval techniques.
New retrieval techniques.
Yeah. This ensures the model stays current by essentially continuously feeding it fresh data. While securing data or ensuring initial quality are definitely important, they don't address the dynamic nature of real-world information and the model's need for, well, continuous updates.
Let's clarify a foundational concept. What's the primary difference between supervised and unsupervised learning in AI?
Okay, the primary difference is pretty straightforward at its core. Supervised learning uses labeled data for training.
Labeled data, meaning?
Meaning it learns from examples where the correct answers are already provided. Think of it like learning with flashcards that have both the question and the answer.
Got it.
Unsupervised learning, conversely, finds patterns in unlabeled data. It discovers structures or groupings on its own without those predefined outcomes. This difference really dictates their best use cases and what kind of data they need.
Let's talk about a fascinating area. Generative adversarial networks, or GANs. How do they manage to enhance their ability to create such realistic data?
GANs are interesting. They enhance realism by training two components simultaneously and, crucially, in opposition.
Two components working against each other.
Exactly. You have a generator that creates data and a discriminator that tries to distinguish it from real data. This adversarial process, this competition, it drives both networks to continuously improve. The generator gets better at making convincing fakes, and the discriminator gets better at spotting them. That's the magic behind the realism.
Okay, shifting gears a bit to the human side of AI adoption. What approach would most likely improve employees' attitudes toward embracing AI in an enterprise?
Right, the people part. Well, fostering widespread acceptance. It really means conducting enterprise-wide training on the AI program and assigning department-level champions.
Champions, like internal advocates.
Precisely. This approach creates transparency and open communication. It helps address employee concerns about job security or, changes in their roles. It's about building understanding and trust from the ground up, which is absolutely essential for sustainable adoption.
And building on that, what's a key reason for integrating workforce analysis when an enterprise considers using AI?
Workforce analysis is crucial because it helps the enterprise navigate those changes in roles and proactively upskill employees.
So, planning ahead for the workforce changes.
Exactly. AI implementation inevitably transforms job responsibilities. So understanding its impact on existing staff allows organizations to retrain employees and ensure they have the necessary skills for new or modified roles. It minimizes disruption.
Okay, for our IS auditors listening in, what best helps evaluate the overall effectiveness of the AI development lifecycle during an audit?
Good question. For an IS auditor, the metrics developed specifically for the AI program offer the best continuous and comprehensive view of effectiveness.
Program-specific metrics.
Yes. These metrics are designed to monitor performance, ethics, risk management, all within the AI governance framework. They provide the continuous data stream needed to assess the ongoing health and alignment of the AI development lifecycle. Much better than a snapshot.
Okay, zooming out to the strategic level again. What should be the primary focus of an AI steering committee when developing the overall AI strategy?
An AI steering committee operates at a strategic level, right? So its primary focus shouldn't be the operational details.
What should be then?
It should be to provide insight on newly identified risks and opportunities. This high-level advisement is crucial for crafting the organization's overall AI strategy and ensuring it truly aligns with overarching objectives. Budgeting, technical reviews, that's typically handled elsewhere.
Turning back to ethics, always a critical topic. What's the best approach to ensure ethical considerations are adequately addressed in an AI strategy?
The most comprehensive approach, really, is establishing a specific AI ethics and compliance committee.
A dedicated committee.
Yes, and one that includes stakeholders from relevant business departments. This ensures diverse perspectives effectively identify and oversee ethical risks and regulatory obligations. It embeds responsible AI governance and accountability across the enterprise, rather than leaving it to, say, fragmented oversight by individual managers.
Okay, looking at monitoring now. What's the most important reason to monitor AI model output for auditing purposes?
Well, the most important reason to implement model output monitoring for auditing AI systems is to identify and address potential biases that might not get flagged by standard error reports.
Subtle bias.
Exactly. Biases can creep in over time due to shifts in data or behavior impacting fairness and accuracy. Output monitoring is key to catching these sort of insidious problems that normal checks might miss.
More broadly, what's a key outcome of implementing governance practices for AI systems?
A key outcome. Effective governance ensures AI systems operate in accordance with organizational values while maintaining compliance with regulations.
So alignment and compliance.
Precisely. It provides direction and control, making sure AI functions align with ethical principles, strategic objectives, legal requirements, embedding it responsibly within the enterprise's broader values and regulatory landscape.
And for accountability, who is most likely responsible for ensuring an AI program adheres to ethical practices and regulations? Is it the CSO, the CEO?
While they have roles, the AI or IT steering committee holds the primary responsibility for the overall direction of the AI program.
The steering committee again?
Yes. This strategic oversight, as a cross-functional body, includes ensuring adherence to ethical and legal standards across the enterprise. They guide the program holistically, governance, risk, compliance, all of it.
Okay, let's consider a practical challenge. What would best address a gap in properly skilled employees when forming an AI strategy? That must come up a lot.
It does. When facing immediate skill deficiencies in AI, especially early on in the strategic planning phase, engaging external experts to provide guidance is often the most effective and, frankly, the quickest solution.
Bring in outside help.
Right. They can bridge that knowledge gap, accelerate planning, and allow the organization to move forward without being completely stalled by internal skill shortages. Training takes time, after all.
Diving into security risks.
Yeah.
What's the primary security risk posed by adversarial attacks on machine learning models?
Adversarial attacks. The primary risk there is manipulating input data to deceive the model into making incorrect predictions.
Tricking the model.
Exactly. These subtle manipulations, often invisible to humans, directly target the reliability and integrity of the model's outputs. And depending on the application, that can lead to severe consequences.
Thinking about ethics during development, what best ensures ethical considerations are included early in the AI lifecycle, right from the start?
The best way to bake ethics in early is by performing a preliminary risk assessment.
A risk assessment.
Yes, but one that explicitly considers all areas of impact, including ethical and human rights considerations. This proactive measure identifies and addresses potential negative impacts right from the planning and design phases, not as an afterthought.
When managing external partnerships, say using third-party AI solutions, what approach most effectively reduces the associated risks?
Transferring risk isn't enough. The most effective approach is establishing a shared responsibility model.
Shared responsibility, meaning
It means clearly defining and documenting the responsibilities of both the vendor and the organization. This ensures joint ownership, management, and mitigation of AI-related risks, creating a much more robust ecosystem than just relying on contracts alone.
back to model behavior over time, we touched on this, but what's the primary concern related to model drift in an AI solution?
The primary concern with model drift is simply that the quality of a machine learning model's performance can degrade over time.
Why does that happen?
It happens because the data patterns or the underlying relationships in the data change. The world changes, right? So the model becomes out of sync with the current reality it's operating in. This inevitably leads to inaccurate decisions if it's not addressed.
Okay, here's a tricky scenario. What's the best course of action for an organization when AI-related risk exceeds acceptable levels, but it remains unavoidable? You can't eliminate it entirely.
Right, residual risk. When AI-related risk exceeds acceptable levels but is unavoidable, the best course of action is to monitor the risk actively to manage potential escalations.
Active monitoring.
Yes, this isn't blind acceptance. It's about continuous observation and management to align with the organization's risk tolerance and ensure you're ready if things escalate. Trying to modify the system might not be feasible, and stopping AI isn't always an option.
A very current issue now. What's the biggest risk associated with using enterprise data to fine-tune a third-party pre-trained AI model?
This is a big one. The biggest risk is that if the third-party supplier model embeds vulnerabilities hidden ones, maybe the AI model could be compromised.
Compromise how?
Compromised in a way that exposes any enterprise data used to train the model. This could lead to data poisoning or data leakage, exposing your sensitive data to other users or attackers. It's a major supply chain and data privacy risk.
Okay, continuing on AI risks, especially for generative AI, what's the most significant risk in terms of securing data and maintaining confidentiality?
For GenAI specifically, the most significant risk to data confidentiality is probably a model inversion attack.
Model inversion.
Yeah, it's an attack that aims to reverse engineer the AI model itself to extract or reconstruct the sensitive training data or personal information it was trained on. This directly compromises the privacy of that underlying data, which is a huge concern given the vast amounts of data used in GenAI.
Let's talk infrastructure briefly. What's the most critical consideration when deciding between in-house or cloud infrastructure for an AI application?
The most critical consideration is really balancing oversight and personalization with adaptability and expenses. It's a trade-off.
How so?
Well, in-house offers more control, more personalization, potentially tighter security oversight, but it's often very expensive and less flexible, less scalable.
And the cloud.
The cloud typically offers greater adaptability, scalability, often better cost efficiency, but you are ceding some direct oversight to the provider. So the critical consideration is finding the right balance for your enterprise's specific needs and risk appetite.
All right, segment 4. Let's focus on a very important aspect: privacy and data governance programs. What's a primary benefit of implementing privacy-enhancing technologies, or PETs, in AI systems?
PETs. Well, a primary benefit of implementing these in AI systems is increased user control over their data.
User control.
Yes. PETs are specifically designed to empower individuals with greater agency over their personal information. They help reduce privacy risk by building privacy into the system from the ground up, putting the user more in the driver's seat.
How do we practically ensure privacy during AI development then? What's most effective?
To most effectively ensure adequate data privacy when developing an AI solution, implement data anonymization techniques.
Anonymization.
Exactly. It makes it significantly harder to trace sensitive data back to an actual individual. This enhances privacy regardless of the machine learning model used, and it's about finding that balance between needing rich data and protecting privacy.
Okay, and what's a best practice to ensure AI solutions adhere to established privacy and data management policies throughout their life cycle?
A key best practice is ensuring that privacy controls persist,
Persist.
meaning they remain active and effective from the data source all the way through to the AI data storage location, like a data lake or wherever it ends up. It's not enough to have initial privacy measures. Those controls must follow the data throughout the entire AI pipeline to ensure continuous adherence to policies.
Here's a very specific and very sensitive scenario. What governance practice is most essential when transmitting employee medical data to a third-party large language model, an LLM?
Ooh, yeah, highly sensitive. When transmitting employee medical data to a third-party LLM, maintaining a comprehensive inventory of data flows and access points is absolutely essential.
Know where the data is going.
Precisely. This transparency and documentation are crucial for effective data governance and compliance. It significantly reduces the risk of unauthorized access or misuse of that highly sensitive information. You can't just delegate governance entirely in that situation.
Building on that for LLM specifically, what would best ensure privacy when using third-party large language models for sensitive data processing?
To best ensure privacy when using third-party LLMs for sensitive data processing, encrypt all communications to the LLM.
Encryption in transit.
Yes. Encryption is a fundamental security measure. It protects data from unauthorized interception and access during transfer. It provides a foundational layer of protection for sensitive data as it leaves your direct control. Relying solely on vendor promises isn't enough.
And from an auditor's perspective, to comply with privacy regulations, what should an IT auditor prioritize when assessing a third-party LLM's data handling practices?
Okay, for compliance, an IT auditor should prioritize ensuring contractual data protection clauses are actually in place and robust.
The contract matters most.
Legally, yes. These legally binding agreements dictate how the vendor must handle your data. They ensure adherence to standards and regulations and provide crucial legal protection and recourse. Policies are good, but the contract is enforceable.
Revisiting sensitive data transmission one more time. What's the most significant risk associated with medical data being transmitted to a third-party large language model?
The most significant risk, unequivocally, is unauthorized access to sensitive information.
Unauthorized access.
Yes. When sensitive medical data leaves the enterprise and goes to a third party, the primary risk is the loss of full control over that data and the potential for that patient information to fall into the wrong hands. The consequences can be severe.
Okay, moving into segment 5. Leading practices, ethics, regulations, and standards for AI. Let's discuss ethical impact assessments. What type of assessment would be best prioritized during AI solution development to address ethical issues?
Right, ethical assessments. Fundamental Rights Impact Assessment, or FRIA, is really the one to prioritize during AI solution development to address ethical issues comprehensively.
FRIA. Why that one specifically?
Because it's specifically designed to assess how AI systems might influence human rights and broader societal areas. It goes beyond just privacy or general risk to look at fairness, discrimination, societal impact, ensuring potential negative outcomes are identified and addressed early.
Shifting to the role of research, how would academic research best inform best practices for AI solutions? Does it set the standards?
Not directly set standards, no. Academic research best informs AI best practices by providing crucial industry insights.
Insights, okay.
Yes, it explores new theories, new methodologies, potential applications. It offers that foundational knowledge and the experimental findings that help shape and refine industry-specific best practices rather than dictating specific algorithms or rigid rules.
Now, what governance concern is most critical when deploying machine learning models for automated decision-making, especially in sensitive areas?
When deploying ML models for automated decision-making, ensuring the model is compliant with applicable regulations and standards becomes the most critical governance concern.
Compliance above all.
In terms of governance risk, yes. Non-compliance can lead to severe legal penalties, huge reputational damage, erosion of public trust. So it's paramount for the legality and the societal acceptance of the AI system, even more than just operational performance.
Looking at a global perspective now, what consideration is most important when aligning AI risk management practices with international frameworks?
Navigating that global landscape. The most important consideration is ensuring compatibility with multiple standards while also maintaining system adaptability across organizational boundaries.
So, compatibility and adaptability.
Exactly. You need risk management practices that can meet diverse international standards but remain flexible enough to adapt to changes and operate seamlessly across different geographical and organizational contexts. You can't just limit yourself domestically if you operate globally.
Here's a specific ethical dilemma. An HR team sends anonymized employee health information to a vendor's LLM to test a cost-saving tool. What's the primary ethical concern here, even if it's anonymized?
The primary ethical concern is definitely trust issues related to the unauthorized sharing of employee data.
Even anonymized.
Yes, sharing sensitive medical data, even if attempts are made to anonymize it, without proper authorization or explicit consent from the employees, fundamentally violates privacy rights. It severely undermines trust within the organization and damages its reputation. The core issue is the unauthorized sharing.
Got it. From a risk management perspective, what's an organization's first priority regarding third-party large language model vendors and their AI risk management practices? Where do you start?
The first priority, absolutely, regarding third-party LLM vendors is to ensure their data handling practices comply with established regulations.
Regulatory compliance first.
Yes. This ensures consistency, reliability, and legality in how your data is managed by that vendor. It directly impacts your legal and reputational risks, so it has to be the foundational check.
Okay, from an IS auditor's viewpoint again, if medically biased AI decisions are identified, say, impacting patient care, what assessment should the organization conduct to verify this impact?
If an IS auditor identifies potentially biased medical decisions by an AI, the organization should conduct a fundamental rights impact assessment, FRIA, to verify this.
FRIA again.
Yes, because it specifically examines how AI influences human rights and community standards. It directly addresses issues of fairness, discrimination, and equitable access to care, which are the core ethical concerns in medical AI, giving a broader scope than just a bias assessment alone.
And a big picture question for ethical AI. How can organizations best ensure that AI solutions align with ethical principles and societal values overall?
The best way organizations can ensure AI solutions align with ethical principles and societal values is by performing proactive evaluations of ethical impact.
Proactive evaluation.
Yes, this means conducting assessments like FRIAs early and continuously throughout the life cycle. It helps identify potential concerns related to the AI's use and its impact on humans and society, allowing them to be addressed proactively, not just reactively.
All right, segment 6, AI operations, specifically focusing on data management. Back to data management specifics. What's most important for ensuring the privacy of data used for AI model development?
Okay, data privacy during development. What's most important is applying the principle of least privilege.
Least privilege. Explain that.
It's a core security concept. It dictates that individuals should only be given the minimum level of access required to perform their job functions. For AI development, this means ensuring data is classified appropriately and access is granted only to authorized personnel on a strict need-to-know basis. This comprehensively reduces the risk of unauthorized access.
Makes sense. What data attribute best ensures an AI model retrieves the most up-to-date data?
That would be data currency.
Currency. Like money.
No, like being current. Data currency specifically refers to the timeliness and freshness of data. How up-to-date is it relative to its application? While relevance, availability, confidentiality are all vital, only currency directly addresses whether the AI model is working with the most recent information, critical for dynamic applications.
Let's discuss fairness in AI again. What's the most important consideration for AI developers in order to ensure impartiality in AI decision-making?
To ensure impartiality, the most important consideration for developers is data balancing.
Data balancing.
Yes, it directly addresses situations where certain populations or attributes are over or underrepresented in the training data. Unbalanced data leads to biased decisions. Data balancing specifically targets the mitigation of this bias to achieve impartiality, more so than just volume or normalization.
Clarifying roles again. What's the main role of a data steward concerning data used by artificial intelligence?
The main role of a data steward concerning data used by AI is ensuring data is used ethically and compliantly.
The ethical guardian.
Pretty much. They act as guardians of data integrity and quality, overseeing governance practices, ensuring accuracy, reliability, and making sure data inputs and outputs meet ethical standards throughout the AI data lifecycle.
Okay, here's a technical one for the data folks. What categorical data encoding technique assigns a unique integer for each data category? Like turning red, green, blue into numbers.
Oh, yes. That technique is called label encoding.
Label encoding.
Correct. It's the specific technique that assigns a distinct integer, like 0, 1, 2, to each category within a categorical variable, different from one-hot encoding, which creates binary columns.
Good distinction. Let's talk about common model performance issues. What occurs when the machine learning model inaccurately captures dominant patterns in the training data? It just doesn't get it right.
That phenomena is called underfitting.
Underfitting.
Yes. It occurs when an ML model is too simple or perhaps hasn't been trained sufficiently to accurately capture the underlying relationships or dominant patterns in the training data. It results in poor performance on both the training data and new data because it fundamentally failed to learn.
What's the primary data privacy risk when using AI for large-scale data analysis? Is it prediction accuracy?
Not prediction accuracy, no. The primary privacy risk with large-scale AI data analysis often stems from data collection beyond the necessary scope.
Collecting too much data.
Exactly. Data minimization is key. AI systems frequently collect more data than strictly necessary, maybe hoping to improve accuracy. But if this data goes beyond the essential scope for the intended analysis, it creates significant privacy concerns, unnecessarily gathering and retaining more sensitive information.
And from an IS auditor's perspective, what would be the main consideration when reviewing an enterprise's data management processes for AI solutions, especially when data comes from multiple sources?
The main consideration for an IS auditor in that scenario is the protection measures used on data from different sources when it's transferred to a new data store, like a data lake for AI.
Ensuring protection follows the data.
Precisely. It's crucial to ensure that privacy and data security controls from the original source are effectively transferred and maintained in the new environment. This guarantees data remains protected and compliant throughout its life cycle within the AI ecosystem. That persistence is key.
Revisiting data drift seems like a recurring theme. What strategy is most effective in addressing data drift in ML models after deployment?
The most effective strategy, post-deployment, for addressing data drift is periodically retraining the model with updated datasets.
Retraining with fresh data.
Exactly. Data drift occurs when the underlying data distribution changes over time. Retraining with current data ensures the model stays accurate and relevant to the evolving real-world conditions it's operating in. It's the most direct fix.
Okay, what would best address a data set in which a particular class of data is overrepresented in the training data? Too much of one thing.
The best way to address that is through data balancing.
Data balancing, again, is that different from undersampling or oversampling?
Data balancing is the overarching term, the strategy. Undersampling, reducing samples from the majority class, and oversampling, increasing samples from the minority class are specific techniques used within the broader strategy of data balancing. So data balancing is the best overall approach.
Another privacy-focused question. What is most essential when using AI for categorizing data to ensure adherence to privacy standards?
When using AI to categorize data for privacy compliance, the most essential thing is the accurate detection of sensitive information.
Accurate detection.
Yes. If the AI cannot reliably identify what data is sensitive, like PII, health info, etc., then it cannot ensure that this data is properly secured, handled, and used appropriately. Accurate detection is the foundation for applying the right privacy controls.
Moving into model efficiency now. What's the best method to reduce the dimensionality of the data, meaning fewer features, and improve model efficiency?
The best method for that is feature selection.
Feature selection.
Right. It directly addresses dimensionality reduction by identifying and selecting only the most relevant features or variables for the model. This process removes redundant or noisy data, which simplifies the model, significantly improves its efficiency, and often its performance by reducing the risk of overfitting.
Okay, segment 7, AI operations, focusing now on AI solution development methodologies and the life cycle. Following up on features, what best describes the effect of selecting a large number of features when developing an AI model? Is always better?
Definitely not always better. Selecting a large number of features, especially if many are irrelevant or noisy, primarily increases the risk of overfitting and reduces clarity.
Overfitting and less clarity.
Exactly. The model starts to learn the noise and specific quirks of the training data rather than the true underlying patterns. This leads to poor generalization on new data. It also makes it much harder to understand which features are actually driving the decisions. It usually makes the model more complex and prone to errors, not better.
Transparency is key, we keep saying. What tool or approach would most likely be used to allow users to understand the results of a machine learning algorithm, especially those black boxes?
For that, you'd most likely use explainable artificial intelligence, or XAI. Yes. XAI is a field specifically focused on making AI models more transparent and interpretable. It emphasizes methods to dissect and understand the intricate decision-making processes of complex models. This builds user trust and also facilitates regulatory compliance and ethical deployment.
Let's discuss a growing concern, the environment. What can help address concerns related to the impact of generative artificial intelligence, Gen AI, on the environment? Those models can be huge.
They can be. The most direct and effective way to mitigate the environmental impact, the significant energy and water consumption, is by optimizing algorithmic efficiency.
More efficient code.
Essentially, yes.
Wow.
More efficient algorithms require less computing power. This, in turn, reduces the energy and resources needed to process requests and produce quality outputs. Just using existing infrastructure or fiddling with data sets doesn't address the fundamental resource consumption like efficiency does.
A crucial business question here. What is the most significant factor contributing to the failure of AI projects when trying to implement them in an enterprise?
This might surprise some, but the most significant factor contributing to AI project failure is often a lack of alignment with organizational objectives.
Strategic misalignment again.
Yes. Many AI projects fail not because of technical hurdles or costs necessarily, but because they simply do not address a real business problem or support a key organizational goal. If it doesn't solve a real need, it's far more likely to be abandoned or deemed unsuccessful, no matter how technically cool it is.
Back to model training techniques. What would most likely reduce the risk of model overfitting during the training process? We talked about too many features.
Right. And related to that, reducing the number of features during the training process would most likely reduce the risk of overfitting.
Fewer features, less overfitting.
Generally, yes. It simplifies the model's learning task. Decreasing the model's complexity makes it less likely to just memorize the training data, including the noise, and more likely to learn the general patterns that apply to new, unseen data. Increasing the dataset size can help sometimes, but reducing feature complexity is a direct control.
Okay, from an auditor's perspective again, what would best help the IS auditor ensure the completeness of artificial intelligence training data, making sure nothing crucial is missing?
To ensure completeness, the technique that would best help is data imputation.
Data imputation.
Yes. Completeness refers to whether all necessary data points are present, without gaps. Data imputation is specifically used to estimate and replace missing values within a dataset. So, for an IS auditor, verifying that appropriate imputation methods are applied helps ensure the training data is complete, which is vital for accuracy.
Scenario. An enterprise is acquiring data sets for a new AI model. The data engineer is currently busy cleaning and pre-processing the data to ensure it meets the model's requirements. Which stage of the AI lifecycle best categorizes the current state of this project? Design. Development.
That stage is firmly within the development phase of the AI lifecycle.
Development.
Yes. While initial data acquisition might begin during design, the extensive cleaning, transformation, and pre-processing work done by the data engineer to get the data ready for the model is a core activity during development, where the model is actually being built and refined based on that prepared data.
All right, moving on to segment 8, AI operations, with a focus on change management. This seems crucial in the dynamic world of AI. What is the most important component of an IT change management program, specifically for overseeing data transformations in AI systems?
Yeah, change management for AI data is key. The most important component, I'd argue, is keeping track of changes in data that actually influence the AI's effectiveness.
Tracking the impactful changes.
Exactly. Data in AI systems is dynamic, and transformations can significantly alter how the AI behaves. So meticulously tracking those changes that directly impact performance is vital for understanding why a model's output might shift. And for maintaining its reliability over time, it's about understanding the cause and effect.
Another question on employee adoption, focusing on sustainability. Which approach would best ensure sustainable adoption of an AI initiative by employees within an organization? Long-term buy-in.
For sustainable adoption, creating an online forum or a similar platform where users can ask questions and learn from one another is highly effective.
Peer-to-peer learning.
Yes, it fosters engagement and buy-in, going beyond mere compliance.
Yeah.
It allows employees to share experiences, troubleshoot together, address challenges collaboratively. This helps alleviate skepticism and builds a sense of shared responsibility and community around the tool, much better than just enforcing usage.
And building on that, what best helps employees effectively adjust to adjustments in their job duties related to the implementation of AI?
The most effective way to help employees adjust is to involve end users directly in the design of the AI implementation project.
Involvement in design.
Absolutely. By participating in the design process, employees ensure their needs and workflows are considered. They develop a deeper understanding and, crucially, a sense of ownership of the solution. This significantly increases the likelihood they'll be optimistic and embrace the changes to their job duties. It's much more powerful than just awareness training.
Okay, a critical emergency scenario. How best can an enterprise handle an emergency change to an AI model when retraining the model is simply not feasible in the short term?
Right, emergency situation, no time for retraining. The most practical and immediate course of action is to implement robust input and output validation.
Input-output validation as a shield.
Exactly. You add software components that shield the model from problematic inputs and filter out bad or unexpected outputs. It essentially inoculates the model against the immediate issue. While not a long-term fix for an emergency where retraining isn't an option, validation acts as a critical protective layer to maintain some level of model integrity and prevent harmful outcomes.
What describes the primary purpose of observing the predictions an AI solution makes on an ongoing basis?
The primary purpose of continuous observation of AI predictions is to help the organization manage the dynamic relationship between changes in data and changes in models effectively.
Managing data and model changes.
Yes. By monitoring predictions, you can detect when the system needs to adapt, maybe because the input data characteristics have shifted, data drift, or because the model itself is performing unexpectedly, model drift. This ensures the AI system remains accurate and effective in a constantly evolving operational environment. It's about continuous adaptation.
And one more critical change management point. When modifications are made to the data sources feeding an AI system, what is essential to include in the change management plan to maintain the system's performance and reliability?
When data sources are modified, it's essential for the change management plan to include managing potential data drift and ensuring the standardization of pre-processing steps.
Data drift and pre-processing standardization.
Correct. Standardized preprocessing helps maintain input consistency despite source changes, which is crucial for the model's operational expectations, reliability, and performance. Proactively addressing potential data drift and keeping preprocessing consistent directly tackles the impact of those source modifications on the AI's reliability.
Okay, segment 9, AI operations. Focusing now on the supervision of AI solutions. Let's discuss a key documentation tool. What is the primary function of model cards in AI testing?
Model cards. Their primary function in AI testing and development generally is providing a clear, concise overview of the capabilities and limitations of the AI model.
Capabilities and limitations.
Yes, they act as a central reference point. They should detail the intended use, key performance metrics, known limitations, ethical considerations, the data it was trained on. This is crucial for developing targeted test cases and ensuring the model is used appropriately and ethically. It's all about transparency.
What is essential for ensuring an AI model maintains its effectiveness over time? We keep circling back to this theme.
And it's critical. What's essential is monitoring shifts in both the input data and the model's output outcomes. Continuous vigilance.
Monitoring data and outcomes.
Yes, this allows for early detection of performance degradation, model drift, concept drift, emerging biases, whatever might be causing the model to become less effective. This enables timely retraining, recalibration, or other adjustments to maintain that accuracy and reliability long term.
Who within an organization typically has the right expertise to assist IT management in assessing the accuracy and effectiveness of implemented AI solution outputs?
While developers build it, the people most likely to assist IT management in rigorously assessing the accuracy and effectiveness of AI outputs are the data scientists.
Data scientists.
Yes, they possess the specific expertise in data analytics, statistical methods, and model evaluation needed to interpret the data, spot patterns, identify discrepancies, and provide robust analytical insights to management about the AI's actual performance in the wild.
Here's a common audit finding. When evaluating the performance of an AI system, an IS auditor notes significant discrepancies in outcomes between the training data and the testing data. What may be the likely cause of this issue? Performs great in training, poorly in testing.
Ah, that's a classic symptom of overfitting.
Overfitting.
Yes. When a model performs exceptionally well in the data it was trained on, but poorly on new, unseen data, the testing set, it indicates the model has essentially memorized the training data, including its noise and irregularities, rather than learning the generalizable patterns. It fails to generalize effectively. That discrepancy is a big red flag for overfitting.
Which type of bias would best explain an artificial intelligence solution showing signs of gender discrimination in its decision-making?
That would likely be explained by systemic
The
bias.
synaptic bias.
Correct. Systemic bias refers to biases that originate from faulty procedures, skewed institutions, or, very commonly, inherent biases within the training data itself. This can lead the AI system to perpetuate or even amplify existing societal inequalities, resulting in discriminatory outcomes like gender discrimination. It's embedded in the system or the data it learned from.
Another look at long-term reliability. Which of the following is the most effective way to ensure that machine learning models remain reliable and accurate over time?
The most effective way to ensure ML models remain reliable and accurate over time is to implement continuous model performance monitoring.
Continuous monitoring again.
Yes. While things like dataset size, complexity reduction, and cross-validation are important during initial development, they don't guarantee long-term reliability in a changing world. Continuous monitoring allows you to detect when performance starts to degrade due to real-world changes, enabling timely intervention.
What would most likely affect the relevance and accuracy of an AI model's real-time decision-making over time?
That would be model drift.
Model drift.
Yes. Model drift directly impacts relevance and accuracy in real-time AI decision-making. It occurs when there are discrepancies between the data the model was trained on and the new live input data it encounters. This constant change in the underlying data distribution can significantly degrade the model's performance, making its real-time decisions less relevant and accurate as time goes on.
What is essential to ensure that AI solutions meet ethical guidelines? Is it more data? Simpler models?
Neither of those, primarily.
And
What's essential is involving humans in oversight activities.
human oversight.
Absolutely. Human in the loop, HITL processes, expert review, ongoing human monitoring. These provide the critical judgment and contextual understanding needed to ensure AI behaves ethically, especially in complex or sensitive decision-making scenarios where nuance is required. Ethics are fundamentally human-centric, so human oversight is paramount.
And finally, for this section, why is it essential for artificial intelligence solutions to be transparent and understandable? What's the core reason?
The core reason, the absolute essential reason for transparency and understandability in AI solutions is to build and maintain trust.
Trust.
Yes. When employees, customers, regulators, stakeholders, when they can comprehend at some level how an AI solution makes decisions, they are far more likely to trust its outcomes and embrace its use. This trust is crucial for successful adoption, accountability, and the long-term acceptance of AI. Without it, you face resistance and skepticism.
Okay, segment 10. AI operations, now focusing on testing techniques for AI solutions. Let's look at testing data. A healthcare organization is training an AI model for medical diagnoses. The dataset seems good for common ailments, but what action would best address any cases of data imbalance within that AI model, like for rarer conditions?
Right. Data imbalance in healthcare is critical. To best address it, you'd apply oversampling and undersampling methodologies.
Oversampling and undersampling.
Exactly. These are specific, cost-sensitive algorithmic techniques designed precisely for this problem. Oversampling duplicates or creates synthetic samples of the minority classes, like rare conditions, while undersampling reduces samples of the majority classes. This helps ensure a more balanced representation, improving the model's performance on less common but crucial cases, and mitigating diagnostic bias. Just making the network bigger won't fix the imbalance.
What technique would best assist an enterprise in making inferences about how an AI solution makes decisions when the source code is unavailable? You can't look inside the black box.
When source code is unavailable, the best technique is black box testing.
Black box testing.
Yes, it's a standard software testing technique where the internal structure or code is unknown to the tester. You focus purely on inputs and outputs. By systematically varying data inputs and observing the outputs, organizations can map decision paths and infer how the AI solution operates without needing to see the code itself.
What is the main objective of dividing the dataset into separate training, validation, and testing sets while developing an AI solution? Why split the data?
This is absolutely fundamental. The main objective of splitting the data into training, validation, and testing sets is to ensure the model performs consistently on unfamiliar datasets, new, real-world data it hasn't seen before.
Testing generalization.
Precisely. The training set is for learning, the validation set is for tuning the model's hyperparameters without touching the final test set, and the testing set is that completely unseen final evaluation. This process helps detect and prevent overfitting and bias, ensuring the model's reliability and trustworthiness in practical scenarios.
What is the biggest challenge of using traditional code reviews when evaluating advanced non-deterministic artificial intelligence models, like deep neural networks?
The biggest challenge is that the multidimensional matrices and complex, often nonlinear interactions used by these models to make decisions are extremely difficult for human reviewers to interpret just by looking at the code.
Too complex to read.
Essentially, yes. Unlike conventional software with clearer logic paths, the internal workings of advanced AI are often opaque. Traditional code reviews struggle to grasp how decisions are actually being formed within those intricate structures. It's an interpretability challenge at the code level.
What variables are most effective to modify in A/B testing when you want to evaluate different artificial intelligence system outputs? What do you tweak?
For A/B testing AI model outputs effectively, the most effective variables to modify are things directly related to the model and its data. Dataset features, model architectures, and hyperparameters.
Features, architecture, hyperparameters.
Right. These elements directly impact how the model processes information and generates predictions. Tweaking them allows for meaningful comparisons of how different versions or configurations perform. Changing things like server response times or UI design tests, different aspects, not the core AI behavior.
Which of the following is the most significant consequence of having access to only a limited amount of data to train an artificial intelligence model?
The most significant consequence of having limited training data is ending up with inaccurate or biased outputs.
Inaccurate or biased outputs.
Yes. A model trained on insufficient data often lacks the volume and variety needed to learn robust, generalizable patterns. This can result in a model that performs poorly on new data, makes unreliable predictions, or exhibits biases simply because the limited data didn't adequately represent the true diversity of the problem space. The output quality suffers most.
What would best ensure the enterprise can address changes due to an AI model's increased ability to make independent decisions over time as it gets smarter?
As AI models become more autonomous, integrating a human-in-the-loop, or HITL, process becomes paramount.
Human in the loop.
Yes. HITL ensures there are mechanisms for human validation, monitoring, and potentially intervention in the AI's decision-making processes, especially when outcomes have significant impacts. It provides a crucial layer of accountability and allows for correction if the AI's independent decisions go off track. Keeps a human check on increasing autonomy.
What is most crucial when evaluating an artificial intelligence framework's performance, specifically to ensure it generalizes well to new information?
To evaluate generalization effectively, especially within a framework context, it is most crucial to use validation data to fine-tune the hyperparameters.
Using validation data for hyperparameter tuning.
Correct. Hyperparameters are those external configuration settings of the model. Tuning them using a separate validation data set helps optimize the model's performance on new information without allowing it to cheat by seeing the final test set during tuning. This process is specifically aimed at improving and evaluating generalization.
Okay, in an audit of an AI system used for medical diagnostic applications, which sampling method is most appropriate for ensuring that the training data is a good representation of the intended deployment population? Need to avoid bias here.
For sensitive applications like medical diagnostics, where representation is critical, stratified sampling is the most appropriate method.
Stratified sampling.
Yes. It involves dividing the population into relevant subgroups or strata based on characteristics like demographics, medical conditions, etc., and then drawing samples proportionally from each subgroup. This ensures that all pertinent characteristics of the diverse patient population are adequately represented in the training sample, which is vital for the AI's accuracy and fairness.
And one more on model cards. What is the primary purpose of using test model cards in artificial intelligence testing?
Test model cards serve a very specific and crucial purpose. They are designed primarily to provide a detailed record of the model's performance, its known limitations, and its intended use context.
Performance limitations, intended use.
Exactly. This comprehensive, transparent overview is invaluable for fostering accountability, ethical deployment, and allowing all stakeholders to understand precisely what the model does, what its boundaries are, and its potential impact based on testing results.
All right, segment 11. AI operations, focusing now on threats and vulnerabilities. What would most likely result from malicious interference with an AI solution during the training phase, say data poisoning?
Malicious interference during training, like data poisoning, would most likely result in significant reliability and safety concerns.
Reliability and safety.
Yes, it directly corrupts the model's learning process. This degradation of the AI's quality has profound implications. A poisoned model might produce consistently harmful, biased, or simply incorrect outputs that could lead to dangerous real-world consequences, especially in critical systems like autonomous vehicles or medical diagnosis. It undermines the model's foundation.
What is the most significant threat during AI model development, specifically when using tools like Jupyter Notebooks?
When using tools like Jupyter Notebooks, perhaps the most significant threat specific to that environment is data leakage.
Data leakage from notebooks.
It can be, yes. While flexible, these tools, especially if the security controls around the web environments where they operate are weak, pose a risk. Sensitive data, company intellectual property, or proprietary algorithms can be exposed if proper access controls, network segmentation, or secure coding practices aren't strictly enforced within that development environment.
What is the primary purpose of using prompt templates in artificial intelligence systems, especially generative ones?
Prompt templates. Their primary purpose is to ensure consistent input for generating reliable outputs.
Consistent input for reliable output.
Exactly. By standardizing the way information or instructions are presented to the model, prompt templates significantly reduce variability in the inputs. This directly improves the accuracy, predictability, and reliability of the AI's responses. They guide the AI towards desired, robust outputs rather than letting it freestyle too much.
What is the best way, fundamentally, to protect AI systems against unauthorized access and misuse?
The best way involves a combination. It's implementing strong access controls and encryption.
Access controls plus encryption.
Yes, that provides the most comprehensive protection. Access controls dictate who can interact with the system and its data, defining permissions. Encryption protects the data itself, whether it's being transmitted in transit or stored at rest, from unauthorized viewing or tampering. Together, they form a robust defense.
Which common attack could compromise the integrity of the AI model during development when using data provided by an external data supplier? Where's the vulnerability?
A common attack vector there is modifying data during the pre-processing stage.
Tampering with data before training.
Precisely. An attacker, perhaps even the supplier themselves or someone compromising them, could subtly manipulate or poison the input data during pre-processing. This corrupted data is then fed into the training process, fundamentally compromising the model's integrity and its ability to learn correctly from the start. It highlights supply chain risk.
A topic getting a lot of attention these days. Deepfakes.
Mhm.
What is the biggest concern associated with deepfakes?
The biggest concern with deepfakes is undoubtedly their immense potential to spread misinformation by creating highly realistic yet entirely fabricated video and audio content.
Spreading believable misinformation.
Yes. This capability allows for the rapid dissemination of fake news, manipulation of public opinion, impersonation for fraud, political destabilization. The implications for trust, security, and societal stability are profound. Their core threat lies in creating convincing false realities.
Which of the following methods would best protect against input manipulation threats to artificial intelligence systems? Things like adversarial examples.
To best protect against input manipulation threats, using standardized templates for inputs is highly effective.
Standardized templates again.
Yes. They provide a structured format for input instructions or data, significantly reducing the risk of malicious or unintended manipulation. By enforcing consistency and allowing for validation of the input at the entry point, templates can filter out or reject inputs designed to trick the model. They sanitize the input stream.
Okay, our final operational segment, segment 12. AI operations, focusing on incident response management. What is the most significant obstacle when detecting artificial intelligence-related incidents? Why is it hard?
A really significant obstacle in detecting AI incidents is the unpredictable nature of their outputs, which complicates setting reliable thresholds for anomaly detection.
Unpredictable outputs make detection hard.
Exactly. AI models, especially complex ones, can produce outputs that are prone to errors or just seem inconsistent sometimes. Unlike traditional systems where a clear deviation might obviously signal an incident, the inherent variability and often the black box nature of AI outputs make it genuinely difficult to distinguish between normal AI behavior, a legitimate but unusual edge case, and an actual security or performance incident.
What is the primary role of regression plans in artificial intelligence incident response management?
Regression plans. Their primary role in AI incident response is to ensure the AI system can be reverted to a previous known stable state after an incident occurs and is addressed.
Rolling back to a safe state.
Precisely. It's a crucial part of recovery. These plans enable the restoration of the system to a known good baseline, minimizing the impact of the incident, ensuring operational continuity, and restoring system reliability and trustworthiness quickly. It's about having a defined fallback.
From an IS auditor's perspective again, what aspect of documentation related to ongoing compliance should the IS auditor verify when assessing an organization's high-risk artificial intelligence system? What shows continued compliance?
For ongoing compliance, especially with high-risk AI, an IS auditor needs to verify documentation that demonstrates continuous oversight. That means focusing on the procedures for continuous operation surveillance and critical incident reporting.
Procedures for ongoing surveillance and reporting.
Yes. This documentation provides assurance that emerging risks are constantly monitored, addressed, and reported appropriately. It shows the system remains compliant with operational standards and risk tolerance over its entire life cycle, not just at the point of deployment.
Who would be most valuable in advising the incident response team on issues related to the impact of an incident on personal data used in AI solutions? Who do you call?
When an incident involves personal data and AI, privacy experts are uniquely valuable to the incident response team.
Privacy experts.
Definitely. They possess the specialized knowledge and data subject rights, complex privacy regulations like GDPR or CCPA, breach notification requirements, and overall compliance. This expertise is critical for navigating the significant legal and reputational implications of a personal data breach involving AI.
What is an absolutely essential element of an artificial intelligence breach response policy? What must it contain?
The most essential element of any breach response policy, including for AI, is establishing a clear protocol for immediate incident reporting and response.
A clear, immediate protocol.
Yes. This protocol must outline the specific steps to take from the moment an incident is detected or suspected. It ensures swift, coordinated action to contain the breach, assess the damage, notify stakeholders, and restore normal operations. That immediate, actionable plan is the core.
What is the best approach to ensure AI-specific considerations are effectively incorporated into an enterprise's overall incident response strategy? You can't just use the old playbook, right?
Exactly. The best approach is to customize incident response protocols specifically to address the unique features, vulnerabilities, and potential impacts of AI solutions, and also to involve all relevant stakeholders in developing those protocols.
Custom protocols and stakeholder involvement.
Right. AI systems have characteristics like model drift, potential for bias amplification, complex data dependencies that differ from traditional IT. Tailored protocols developed with input from data scientists, AI engineers, legal, privacy, ethics experts ensure these unique challenges are comprehensively understood and managed within the broader incident response framework.
What is the most significant obstacle in resolving AI-specific incidents compared to resolving traditional software incidents? What makes fixing AI harder?
While there are several challenges, perhaps the most significant operational obstacle in resolving AI incidents, especially compared to traditional software bugs, is that AI retraining often demands substantial resources, particularly for large, complex models.
Retraining takes a lot of resources.
Immense resources, sometimes time, computing power, potentially new curated data. Unlike applying a relatively quick software patch or update, resolving an AI incident often necessitates this intensive retraining process to correct the underlying issue in the model's behavior. This significantly complicates resolution efforts and resource allocation.
And lastly, for operations, how do containment strategies for AI-related incidents typically differ from containment strategies for conventional IT incidents?
They differ primarily because they must consider the inherent complexity of AI solutions.
Considering the complexity.
Yes. AI systems often involve intricate algorithms, multiple interconnected components, vast and dynamic data sets. Therefore, containment for an AI incident is rarely as simple as just isolating or shutting down a single server or application. It often involves more nuanced approaches like implementing input validation filters, sanitizing specific data streams, carefully managing access controls across a distributed architecture, or even gracefully degrading functionality, all while accounting for that underlying complexity.
Okay, moving into our final domain, AI auditing tools and techniques. Segment 13 focuses on audit planning and design. What is the primary purpose of cataloging all the artificial intelligence systems within an organization? Creating that inventory.
The primary purpose of creating an AI inventory or catalog is fundamentally to help the enterprise and its auditors understand where and how AI is currently being used within the company.
Visibility and understanding.
Exactly. It provides that clear, transparent overview of the AI landscape, what systems exist, who owns them, what data they use, what decisions they influence. This comprehensive view is absolutely crucial for effective planning, assessment, risk management, and governance of AI usage. It's the starting point for any meaningful oversight.
Let's take a specific audit scenario. An IS auditor is evaluating the design of an AI recruitment automation solution to mitigate potential biases. Which critical steps should the auditor focus on to most effectively ensure equity in that design?
To most effectively ensure equity and mitigate bias in an AI recruitment tool during the design evaluation, the auditor should focus on verifying that bias audits are conducted prior to deployment.
Pre-deployment bias audits.
Yes. Identifying and addressing biases at this early stage before the system goes live and starts impacting real candidates is critical. It helps prevent discriminatory patterns from being embedded in the operational system, ensuring alignment with ethical standards and fair practices right from the start. Fixing it later is much harder and riskier.
What type of expertise is most necessary for an auditor who is using judgmental sampling during AI audits, specifically to select appropriate data samples for evaluating bias outcomes and reviewing training data?
While statistical knowledge is important, for judgmental sampling aimed at bias in AI, deep knowledge in the specific field of the AI application is arguably most necessary.
Domain expertise.
Precisely. This domain-specific understanding allows the auditor to make informed judgments about which data samples, features, or scenarios are most likely to reveal potential biases or represent vulnerable subgroups effectively. It goes beyond generic technical auditing skills to understand the nuances and potential pitfalls of the AI's intended use case and its potential societal impact.
All right, segment 14. Audit testing and sampling methodologies. Which sampling method is best suited for an auditor examining a large data set in an AI system, specifically to ensure bias concerns have been addressed?
When the goal is specifically to find and address bias concerns within a large AI dataset, judgment-based sampling is often the most effective method.
Judgment-based sampling for bias.
Yes. This method allows the auditor to leverage their expertise and understanding of potential bias points based on domain knowledge or preliminary analysis to deliberately select samples that are most likely to expose existing biases or to ensure a diverse representation of sensitive attributes. It's a targeted approach, unlike random sampling, which might miss subtle issues.
How can a comparison testing method be used effectively to assess different aspects of an artificial intelligence model's dataset?
Comparison testing, in the context of AI datasets, can be used by modifying specific data attributes or features within the dataset to assess their impact on the model's outcomes.
Modifying data attributes to see the effect.
Exactly. By systematically changing characteristics of the input data, maybe altering demographic distributions, removing certain features, introducing noise, and then comparing the resulting model outputs, auditors can gain a deep understanding of how different data characteristics influence the model's behavior, including its sensitivity to potential biases or data quality issues. It's about probing the model's reaction to data variations.
Okay, segment 15. Audit evidence collection techniques. Let's look at tools auditors might use. What would be the main benefit for the IS audit team when employing optical character recognition, OCR, technology to refine data collection during an audit?
The main benefit of using OCR technology for an IS audit team is enhanced accuracy and processing speed for handling documents and reports.
Accuracy and speed.
Yes, OCR converts data from images like scanned documents, invoices, screenshots into machine-readable text formats. This significantly streamlines the data collection process, especially from non-digital sources, reduces manual data entry errors, and ultimately leads to more efficient and reliable audit evidence gathering and analysis.
What is the best method for collecting website data, specifically to be processed by a large language model, LLM, that's being used to evaluate audit evidence? Say, analyzing public statements.
When the specific need is to collect website data in large volumes for an LLM to process as audit evidence, data scraping is generally the most suitable method.
Data scrape.
Right. Data scraping uses automated tools to extract structured or unstructured data directly from websites. LLMs often thrive on vast amounts of text data, and scraping provides an efficient way to aggregate this information from multiple web sources for analysis far faster than manual collection.
What is fundamental for ensuring high data quality during interviews when collecting information for an artificial intelligence inventory? You're talking to people about the AI they use.
To ensure high data quality and consistency during those inventory interviews, using a consistent set of questions for all interviewees is fundamental.
A standardized questionnaire.
Essentially, yes. A structured interview approach enables uniform data collection across different teams or individuals. It establishes clear categories for the AI technologies being discussed and facilitates more effective comparison and analysis of the responses. It minimizes variability and interviewer bias, leading to a more reliable inventory.
What would be a primary concern when using speech-to-text tools to aggregate data when conducting audit interviews, recording and transcribing conversations?
A primary concern there, beyond just transcription accuracy, is understanding how the tool processes the audio data to create the text.
How it processes the audio. Why?
Because it touches on data integrity, privacy, and potentially legal compliance. Does the processing happen locally or off-site in the cloud? Who has access to the audio or text? Are there data retention issues? If sensitive information is discussed, understanding the tool's processing pipeline is crucial to ensure data isn't mishandled or exposed inappropriately.
Segment 16, AI auditing tools and techniques, focusing now on AI audit, data quality, and data analytics. What is the best way to ensure that the training data for an AI model is obtained in accordance with legal requirements, like privacy laws?
Given the complexities and the black box nature of many AI models, the best way to ensure training data is legally acquired is often to limit the training data to that which was collected after explicit, informed consent was given.
Consent first.
Yes, prior informed consent. This adheres strictly to privacy regulations like GDPR and respects data subject rights. Relying solely on publicly available data or internal data doesn't automatically guarantee compliance for all types of data or uses, and indiscriminate scraping is obviously risky. Consent provides the clearest legal basis.
Which data quality dimensions best verify that data has not been mishandled or incorrectly modified, ensuring data integrity?
To verify data integrity that it hasn't been mishandled or incorrectly modified, the most relevant data quality dimensions are accuracy, consistency, and completeness.
Accuracy, consistency, completeness.
Right. Accuracy confirms the data is correct and precise. Consistency ensures uniformity and lack of contradiction across the dataset. Completeness ensures all necessary data points are present. Together, these attributes are essential for upholding data integrity and safeguarding against data corruption or unauthorized changes in an AI system.
What is the most significant obstacle to identifying contaminated data, like poison data, within large artificial intelligence training datasets?
A truly significant obstacle is the fact that data can be modified at numerous points throughout the data lifecycle.
Multiple points of potential corruption.
Exactly. From initial ingestion, through various pre-processing and transformation steps, right up to the training process itself, there are many stages and access points where harmful or malicious data could potentially be introduced. This makes it incredibly difficult to trace the source of contamination or even detect subtle manipulations within vast, complex datasets.
Which of the following approaches would most effectively manage hallucinations? Those plausible but false outputs generated by artificial intelligence solutions, especially large language models.
The most effective way to manage AI hallucinations is generally by applying constraints to both the inputs and the outputs.
Input and output constraints.
Yes, input constraints can guide the model toward more factual or relevant source information. Output constraints can involve filtering, validation checks, or requiring the model to cite sources, ensuring reliability and minimizing the generation of erroneous or nonsensical information. It's about building guardrails around the model's generation process.
And our final segment, segment 17, AI auditing tools and techniques, focusing on AI audit outputs and reports. What is a main benefit of using sentiment analysis when assessing artificial intelligence systems?
A main benefit of using sentiment analysis in assessing AI systems is gaining insight into the impressions and attitudes of stakeholders, customers, employees, the public related to the enterprise and its AI deployments.
Gauging stakeholder feelings.
Exactly. It typically analyzes text data from reviews, social media, surveys, etc. to gauge public perception, understand user satisfaction or frustration, and identify areas of concern or approval related to the AI initiatives. It provides that qualitative, emotional context.
What is the main function of advisory reports in artificial intelligence audits? How do they differ from typical audit reports?
Advisory reports in AI audits differ because their main function is to consult on process improvements and risk management, rather than just providing assurance or confirming compliance.
Consulting and recommending improvements.
Precisely. They focus on offering actionable recommendations and guidance to help the organization strengthen its AI capabilities, address weaknesses identified during the audit, enhance risk management strategies, and improve overall AI governance. They are forward-looking and improvement-oriented.
Which approach would best ensure the effective communication and prompt resolution of findings in an artificial intelligence audit report? How do you make sure action is taken?
To best ensure effective communication and prompt resolution, audit findings should be clearly linked to specific risk evaluations and accompanied by established, actionable timelines for remediation.
Link to risk, set timelines.
Yes. Linking issues directly to business or operational risks helps stakeholders understand the significance and prioritize action. Establishing clear, actionable timelines with assigned responsibilities ensures that remediation efforts are tracked and progress is monitored. This provides a practical roadmap that drives resolution much more effectively than just listing findings.
And lastly, what would help integrate the use of artificial intelligence itself into the audit processing and reporting functions? Using AI to audit AI, perhaps.
Implementing automated reporting systems that leverage AI would be a key way to integrate AI into audit processing and reporting.
Automated, AI-powered reporting.
Right. This could involve using AI algorithms to conduct certain audit tests, perform strategic analysis on audit data, identify anomalies across large data sets, reduce redundancies in reporting, and generally enhance the insights derived from the audit process. It shifts parts of the audit from manual checks to more intelligent, automated analysis, improving efficiency and potentially depth.
So wow, what does this all mean for you, our listener? We've just navigated a pretty comprehensive landscape of AI auditing and management.
We certainly covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, from understanding the core differences in machine learning types to tackling the really tricky nuances of data privacy, risk management, ethical oversight. Each concept we unpacked, each question has offered, I think, a vital piece of the puzzle. It highlights how meticulous planning, continuous monitoring, and proactive risk management are absolutely essential for any organization venturing seriously into AI.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes really clear that successful AI integration isn't just about having the coolest tech or the smartest algorithm.
Right.
It's deeply intertwined with robust governance frameworks, constant ethical considerations, and maintaining a continuous learning mindset. These insights really emphasize the need for transparency, for accountability, and the critical role of human oversight throughout the entire AI lifecycle, from initial design all the way through deployment and ongoing operation.
And that's our deep dive for today. We genuinely hope this journey through these detailed questions and explanations has given you some serious aha moments and equipped you with some actionable knowledge. What stands out to you from today's discussion? Maybe consider how these principles might apply to the AI systems you interact with every day, or perhaps those you might be involved in developing or overseeing.
Yeah, and maybe think about this as we wrap up. As AI becomes even more sophisticated and more deeply embedded in our daily lives and work, how might those traditional lines between human expertise and AI capability continue to blur? Especially in fields like auditing, compliance, even complex decision-making. What new ethical frameworks, what new operational models will we need to establish just to keep pace with that change?
That is a powerful thought to mull over. Definitely something to keep thinking about. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thank you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring.